der zentralen Position. Nur Schwarze hat er noch vor sich. Dann ist es Fjortoft. Er ist im Strafraum. Und der Feld. Tor! Tor! Für die Frankfurter Eintracht. 5:1.
Bayern are champions. Dortmund slip up. Union Berlin get Champions League. Schalke go down. While Stuttgart play, surprise, surprise, Hamburger Sportsverein in the playoff to secure the Bundesliga spot. That, as we come towards the end of this Bundesliga season, that is surely not disappointed in terms of its drama. What is there to say? What is the main reflection from this last game day? Because was an absolute crazy day, wasn't it?
And it's a great day to ask me that question, Marcus, because it's the 29th of May today. 29th of May, 1999, I was involved in a most crazy way how Eintracht Frankfurt secured our place. I was fortunate enough to score that decisive goal in the 91st minute. We beat Nuremberg on the same point, same goal difference, but we've scored more goals. And Marcus, we spent the weekend, or a couple of days, I did, in Spain. We were celebrating your aunt, my sister-in-law, and we were in the party at the time. So at the beginning we were polite. I saw that you were more impolite than me, because you were watching your screen. I was like doing it every 15th minute, and then I just saw your face, and we had a body language to each other saying that it's crazy what's going on. So at the end there, when it's getting, let's say, the last 20 minutes, I just lost it and I just put it on. So I was sitting listening to people speaking. There was a great speeches, and the music was fantastic as well. But then I just lost it and I put it on. So we were very updated with what was going on, and I think you summarized it in a fantastic way, Marcus. And I've said this for many years, and with the end of the season, the journalists will call me about what in Germany is always some twist at the end. Even in England, you can say it was dramatic when Everton scored there 30 minutes before the end, but somehow it's always happening in Germany. Yeah. Something always happening. At the end of the day, you will say typical Dortmund. At the end of the day, you will say typical Bayern. But we know it's more complicated than that. And for some few minutes there, Dortmund were back being champions again. But as you were saying, Marcus, and I will quote you now, that you were saying at the party, because I think we hoped, as lovers of Bundesliga, we hoped that we could get another champion. I don't care. My team is Frankfurt. But I do care that I think that the Bundesliga should have a credibility, that people should love the Bundesliga. And if you're ending up Bayern winning all the time, is what England call a farmers league. Having said that, and that was your quote, you're saying if Dortmund can't beat Mainz at home with the goal record they're having, when Mainz nothing to battle for, and they just get a draw, they needed to win. Well, that's the name of the game.
Yeah. No, but you don't deserve it then, in my opinion. It's one of those, and I will find this clip and I'll retrieve it and I'll somehow integrate this into the episode, I think. But people assumed that the title was over. Bayern probably assumed that the title was over. The key difference being is that Bayern had been in this situation before from an historical perspective, but also from a winning mindset that these Bayern players have been able to amass following the titles that they have won, which Dortmund haven't.
I think there will be some twists and turns. The history tells us that. There could be an early lead for Bayern Munich. That could happen. Thomas Müller will probably be hit in the back of his head and is 1-0 against Köln, and Dortmund is struggling. It's 0-0. So, I mean, that's all that makes the tip. So, but it's fantastic. It's fantastic.
No, I mean, we can't underestimate
a title race.
We can't underestimate the psychological aspect to this, and I'm sure Dortmund will have in the back of mind. I saw the celebrations after the Augsburg game, celebrating the fans. It's as if they won the title. Now, I agree you should celebrate those moments, because that was a game that really was a big potential stumbling block. But the psychological approach going into that game will be tough. Bayern have been there before, Dortmund less so. And I think it goes to show a game like that is that these players are humans, right? Because the talent is obvious on any given day, but Dortmund's home form this season, insane. I mean, they scored goals for fun. I think over 4 goals on average since the Rückrunde. But then you go into Mainz, and the context being there are 60,000 outside the stadium, which for me, and I think for you as well, is what hurts most, because of the hope that has gathered and the potential party and the history made. You know, you feel sorry for them, but at the same time, with that in mind, we just need to win at Mainz, but at the same time, no, okay, we can end Bayern's 10 consecutive reign of Bundesliga titles. And I think Watzke touched upon it as well, that is that there were players there that, well, had a psychological kind of failure. They didn't deal with it as well as you'd hope. And then in some degree, you can say it's like, you know, yeah, but they haven't been in this situation before. So yeah, some might fault, some might thrive. But at the end of the day, if you that's where winners are made. That's the same for Arsenal going in towards the end, and you can a lot of different contexts, but City have been there, Arsenal haven't. It's part of the puzzle, but it's a really important part of the puzzle in terms of attaining that winning mindset. And you can only do that by winning. So for Dortmund, it's it was processing that. I gave it half an hour into the party, and then I said 1-0. Oh my God. And it was a Norwegian, Hanke Wilson, who scored the first goal. And then 2-0. And then and then we said that we thought Bayern and Dortmund wouldn't be winning their last few games. They wouldn't all win it through. And Bayern almost messed it up for themselves. And then you have one of our favorite players in the Bundesliga, Musiala, as well. I went on a tangent, but it was just so much to process. But ultimately, if you win the title, you deserve it. I'd say as much.
I did at the beginning of the week to my friend Marcotti, my colleague where I work with often at ESPN.
Yeah.
I wrote a tweet saying, everybody says Manchester City is a big favorite in the Champions League final. I saw them. I did see them at the first half against their local rival Milan, and I thought, wow. And the cynical way they approach game, they have so many good players. I say, don't make them big favorite. I got a message from Alfie Haaland, my former teammate in the Norwegian national team, and he said, have you started doing boring tweets now? Is that kind of tweets that you will take on when Manchester City not winning the Champions League? And you can say, what did I say? So I said, yeah, I have to admit, I can see that I went down the boring department street. So before this weekend, I wanted to tweet, don't underestimate the psychological thing of have that home game with Mainz. Don't underestimate that thing that these are human beings. But I did send a text to Alfie saying, Alfie, I won't text it now because you will tell me that I am boring. And if Dortmund will lose the title, then everybody will say you just kind of neutralize everything for you. So I will have a go at Alfie Haaland because he didn't make me look very wise. But your analysis, Marcus, is 100% right, because Bayern would never do that. And that is to do with culture. Culture is always underestimated. Being Manchester City take the next step to win the Champions League. Being Arsenal to come back as a champions of England, as you said. At the end of the day, Manchester City will win 10, 12 games in a row. They kind of get a hunger by winning games. I was not fortunate to play with the best teams in the world, so I never played for a team have that stability. The only time I experienced that was for the Norwegian national team. I lost at home against Soviet Union. I'm like 200 years of age now. And for 6 years, we never lost a home game because we had that feeling, we had that culture, we had that awareness that we were good. If we only looked after each other, if we were prepared, we would win those kind of games. And yes, I felt so sorry for Dortmund. But again, I'm so pragmatic. I'm so realistic. I've had an ongoing discussion now for 20 years with Rune Bratseth, my former teammate, Werder Bremen legend. I always say that the best team always win. Always win. And yes, there was goal difference decided for Bayern. That means they were the best team. Mm-hmm. That is what we have tables for. That's what we have results for. So Do I feel sorry for Dortmund? Yes. Do I feel sorry for the Dortmund fans? That is one of the most passionate fans in the world. You said it, 60,000 outside, 81,000 inside, all ready for a party, all ready for a date to remember for the rest of their life. Will they remember this day for the rest of their life? Of course they will. But I think that Dortmund just have to turn around now very quickly. Just before we came on now, Marcus, I saw that they've got Ben Sebaini from Gladbach. They start getting him for free from Gladbach. Fabrizio Romano was reporting that, and he is reliable on that sense. Yeah. So it was unbelievable. It's unbelievable. I I'll use another word, and it was also unbelievable the Champions League. With I mean, Union Berlin, Marcus. If we say the story, we're talking about FC Hollywood in terms of Bayern, but why? Wow! If you're going to make a film, I think that the best-selling film would be the story of Union Berlin.
Absolutely, and one better than last season when they got the Europa League, which in of itself was, well, I'm careful deeming everything a miracle, but a very impressive feat at that. Now Champions League. Freiburg narrowly miss out, but also another great and impressive story at that. So you have then RB Leipzig and Union Berlin join Dortmund and Bayern in the Champions League spots. It's nice. It's the three, well, clubs we'd expect to be in the top there, plus Union Berlin, which will be fantastic to see them a Champions League night with another Norwegian, Morten Thorsby there, part of that. Then you have
an Eintracht, Marcus.
Yes,
my Eintracht saving their place in the Conference League. I think they're now going. It's always difficult to understand these kind of levels, but what I understand now, if they win the Pokal, they will go into Europa League because they're playing the FA Cup final, their final this weekend against RB Leipzig. But they are now guaranteed to be in the playoff of the Conference League. So they go into the playoff game just before you head into the proper Conference League. And I would also say they beat Freiburg. They were 1-0 down and came back winning 2-1. It's a perfect farewell at home for Oliver Glasner, who's leaving them after the final.
Absolutely. And then we're able to, after a really poor run of form, being able to finish the season strong enough for them to guarantee another European place. And like you said, on this very day in 1999, to be expected of Eintracht Frankfurt to be regular European contenders as well is not to be expected at that. At least the contrast is really stark. And so it's important for them to compete regularly in Europe, have been a great presence at that. Leverkusen also finishing the season strongly. I think what we want to do that is do a more recap, and we'll go through the teams and the players who have impressed us the most. But this will be kind of a kind of accelerated one at that. But then we go into the relegation battle, Dad. And Schalke go down. They were 2-0 down to RB Leipzig and had to win and start other results and etc. But you then have Schalke going down with Hertha Berlin. Hertha Berlin saving face. They won away against Wolfsburg. But Stuttgart now in the playoff, and they've looked good under Hoeneß, better under Hoeneß than they were before. They play then Hamburger Sportsverein in this playoff. This is also an equal drama, if not more. Take us, for those who are not quite familiar, take us through a quick recap of that last day with Hamburg and Heidenheim.
First of all, the relegation battle is always, this is the same with twists and turns in Germany all the time, where we have to big respect to Bochum, who saved themselves. Sure. People thought they were hopeless down there. Stuttgart, they had to win at home against Hoffenheim. Hoffenheim who had saved their place. So Augsburg was close as well, Marcus, but they saved their place at the end. Now we have to go to the Zweite Liga. The second league, Hamburger Sportsman always end up in the relegation zone. I was doing Brentford, Manchester City yesterday, but I had my phone also on the drama in the Zweite Liga. And me and you, we have a great dialogue during those kind of games. And I send a text to you, and I remember what the text I said. I said, as for now, it looks like Hamburger Sportsmen are up. They're winning 1-0 in Sandhausen. So both teams that they were playing was Sandhausen and Regensburg, the two teams. And but Hamburger Sportsverein is winning 1-0. So Heidenheim and Hamburger Sportsverein. I mean, you can't get two teams based on history and place and tradition that is further from each other. And mind you, the first team who went up was Darmstadt, not a big club either, but still deservedly going up. As I said, it's always deservedly. So Heidenheim is 2-0 down in Regensburg. 2-0 down. Then it's 2-1. 2-1. I think it was an own goal. Of course, it was an own goal. So 2-1. But still, Hamburger Sportsverein is up because Heidenheim got to win. The game is off in Sandhausen. The fans are on the pitch. Unbelievable joy. The stadium speaker says, "Congratulations, wir gratulieren die Hamburger Fans. Ihr seid in die Bundesliga. You're in the Bundesliga." And it was la ola and all that kind of thing. The fans thought they were up. Mind you, that the same happened to Schalke. We talked about that on this podcast before. They were champions for 4 minutes. Of course, Bayern then ending up getting a free kick at the end that Patrick Anderson put in. So they lost it. But it was the same, exactly. They were firing. They were firing. They were celebrating. Firing. What is I doing in German? Firing. They were celebrating. Then there is someone who says the game in Regensburg is not over. It's in the 93rd minute.
11 minutes were added.
Yeah, 11 minutes added. But still, listen, they not only have to get the equalizer 2-2, they need to win 3-2. So they need 2 goals in those 11 minutes. 93rd minute, 2-2. Penalty. So you have an own goal and a penalty. Of course you had. And you know, I was sitting in the stadium. I was following this live update because I didn't put the game on because I had to concentrate on Brentford against City. But I was sitting there. And you know, you just get that feeling. You know what's going to happen. You know what's going to happen. It's the same with Dortmund Bayern. You just know that HSV will end up being the relegation zone. You know somehow they will get. And in the 99th minute, Heidenheim scores, they win 3-2, and they're up. So Darmstadt, Heidenheim in the Bundesliga next season, congratulations. Hamburger Sportsverein for like the 100th time. I'm not 100% sure, but I think this is the 6th year they've been out of the Bundesliga, at least 5. And Hamburger Sportsverein, for those of you listening who doesn't know the greatness of the club, this is the Kevin Keegan club. This is the Ernst Happel club. This is the club who won the European Cup. They beat Juventus. Felix Magath scored a winner. This is the Manfred Kaltz club. This is Horst Rubic club that was the best header of all time. And now they're going to relegation. I think it's on Wednesday, on Monday. I think
the 1st of June is the first game.
Yeah, home and away. away. It will probably end up Hamburger Sports will stay another year in the Bundesliga, second Bundesliga that is, and I feel sorry for them. On one hand, Marcus, I think it's charming of football, like Luton now winning against Coventry. I would have loved to see Coventry back as well. I got some great memories playing Coventry, but Luton, I mean, what a story! I mean, if you see their ground, and we'll meet on that ground, Marcus. We have to see a game together there in next season. But Heidenheim and Darmstadt, of course, is great for football. Of course, it's great for a money kind of football environment. But you just feel so sorry again for HSV, Hamburger Sportsverein, not being able to do it. And in a typical matter, there's no chance that Heidenheim will win 5-0 in Regensburg. There's no chance that it was always meant to be. And that's why I love football. That's why I love football, Marcus.
It'll be pretty interesting because this season, the Bundesliga, you have 2 big clubs in Hertha Berlin and Schalke going down. I mean, fantastic histories and fantastic fan bases. But ultimately, fall victim to their poor starts and too much inconsistency, despite Schalke really turning it up after a terrible start. But 2 rather different profiles of teams, like you said, going down and going up. But I think football gets a lot of criticism for its predictability, for money ruling in a way, and money often attracts the best talent and what have you. But it is refreshing that we will have two teams up in the Bundesliga that people will be, to a greater or lesser extent, familiar with. And having the likes of a Darmstadt and Heidenheim going up, we live for these fairy tale stories. That's why we love football. Like you said, it is the ones that make us dream and the ones that make us lose all hope, like in the case of a Dortmund, for that matter. So to have these two teams come up, and we will have a very good relegation or promotion playoff on our hands. Stuttgart have shown promising form, and Hamburg are a club that will compete undoubtedly and try to better their loss to Hertha Berlin in the playoffs last season. So it's the season's still not over. I think looking back, the fact that Bochum, like you said, were able to stay up, Bochum and Augsburg, who keep on being able to stay in the league, credit to them for that. So it's it will be, like I said, a season that we'll be able to recap, but there's a lot of good narratives and good stories, and that's why I love the Bundesliga. Like you said, the Premier League had its drama, but the Bundesliga always delivers, and it had the title winning season. It's a season in which I think both of us have learned to love the Bundesliga even more.
Yes, and I think that to end, Marcus, to say the end of the season now will be 3 games. There will be 2 playoff games between 2 traditional big clubs, Hamburger Sportsverein and Stuttgart. Then we'll have the Pokalfinale. I was luckily enough invited to that, but I have a wedding to go to. And it's a private matter, so I can't do the FA Cup final at Wembley. I can't do the FA Cup final in Germany. Been invited to my former club, Eintracht Frankfurt. I think that, just to add at the end, Marcus, to your analysis, is that I think the bad news for Germany is the broadcasting rights, because Darmstadt, Heidenheim, Heidenheim, Darmstadt, Hertha, Schalke down. That is not good in a commercial view. Having said that, as you were saying, that is a part of the story. And we just have to respect Union Berlin. We have to respect Augsburg. We have to respect these teams, Heidenheim and Darmstadt, that they always manage to fight above the weight. I have to put in Mainz as well. Mainz did a fantastic job in Dortmund. I mean, respect to them. They could lay down and say, please have your championship. They didn't. They just showed. But they also show that mismanagement over years that they've done in Berlin and in Schalke, at the end of the day, the consequences are to going down. Mm-hmm. You may say that it's a part of a lot of clubs, Everton over the years, Leicester, also Leeds. The management will always be a part of that, and then at the end you have to pay the price. And I think that will end, Marcus, that we are football romantics. First of all, Heidenheim and Darmstadt deserve to go up, and Schalke and Hertha Berlin deserve to go down. That is just fact, because it just shows you that you can't live on tradition alone. You can't live on history alone. You have to have good people around you. You have to have, like in Union Berlin, as in Freiburg. Freiburg missed out in the 5th place, but still Europa League, doing a fantastic job with the people they have in there. So I think that is good for football. That not only the recruitment, not only the big name players coming in, that you are rewarded for your great work. And I think, Marcus, we will end with that. 3 more games to go. At least one is very exciting for me with Eintracht Frankfurt and yourself as well. And then the playoff, we'll see who will go up. And then we will have to make an episode where we go through. We can do some prizes. We just have to say that the Torjägerkanone, I was in Brentford yesterday. We had Erling Haaland getting his for 35 goals in the Premier League, got a golden boot. 36, no? 36. Yeah, 36. Mm-hmm. Because he beat it 36, of course. And then Harry Kane got 30. You need to mention for a Spurs team. Fantastic. And but in Germany, it's called Torjägerkanone. And our friend, our special friend, our outsider, our man who didn't play at the end of the season, so he didn't add to his 16 goals, has to share that Torjägerkanone with Nkunku. So imagine Nkunku, he hasn't played a lot this season either. He scored 2, I think, in the last game of the season. He scored 2, and he ended up at 16 as well. So he congratulates them for getting the Torjägerkanone. and Nkunku going to Chelsea with a new coach Pochettino. We wish him all the best, and I think then we'll be back with give some prizes, and we'll see which players we can expect leaving the Bundesliga. Talking about Muani, who scored again for Eintracht Frankfurt in their win, and we wish Frankfurt all the best in the final.
Indeed, we will hopefully next time we convene, we have a Frankfurt, another Frankfurt title.
Come on, Frankfurt!
We will see, but we will be back soon. But this is the last formal recap episode of the season, and we'll have a little fun little prize giving and building up to the next season as we do. Not long enough, a few months, and then we're back at it again. So thanks for now, Dad.
Thank you. Auf Wiedersehen.